Hello, everybody. It's PsyFerret, and today is another Review. So, this Review, we are talking about Moonshine Volume 1, which Volume 1 is a collection of issues numbers 1 through 6 by Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Rizzo. The plot, the general premise here is that a prohibition New York City gangsta goes to this country for booze, meeting a specific distiller, and he meets supernatural events and rejection. I mean, spoiler, he meets a lot of rejection. Quick take, the writing is a little clunky and the art has some intrigue. Overall, this has earned 2 out of 5 dukes from a ferret. So, if you like the video so far, give it a like and let's dive into some details, shall we? All right, so let's start with the writing. So, in my opinion, the writing is both a bit convoluted and a bit thin in just all the areas. So, a little bit of spoilers. The plot centrals around main character Lou going out into the countryside to meet Mr. Holt Histum, to secure a line of booze, essentially, just to try and get, because apparently Mr. Histum's booze is top notch. Mr. Holt Histum lives out in the country, and so Lou goes out to try and secure a deal for character Joe the Boss. That's his name apparently. Yeah. Anyway, so this is all set into Prohibition when booze is illegal. It's all illegal. So yeah, now this is a little bit of a thing. But the amount of drinking that occurs is apparently not hindered at all by the fact that this is the Prohibition. This is kind of a weird point. So, Lou apparently gets drunk very easily, despite the fact that I don't think there's a scene in him without talking about wanting a drink in the whole thing. And he blacks out very easily, which is, I guess, supposed to be seen throughout the comic, because there are a lot of moments where we start and where we end and it's in the middle of the night, and the next scene starts in the middle of the daylight and there's bodies and such, and we're all like, what happened here? What's going on? And I'm not a fan of that. Like, I understand that the character is blackout drunk, but that doesn't mean I'm blackout drunk. I definitely was not enjoying nearly enough booze when I started reading this. And the fact that I left myself an extra few hours to try and process and think about the story a little bit more, I'm still not a fan of this. It is by and large just convoluted. It's a little bit weak. I'm not drunk. I should be, apparently, but I'm not, because I'm just I don't. And there's a lot of times where I'm like, wait, how did we get here? What does this guy care? Why does this matter? I'm so confused, right? And that's kind of upsetting a lot, especially since the characters themselves have no established motivations. Why does Holt Histum not want to sell his booze to the New York City gangsters? I don't know. That's never established, other than he just doesn't want to. Why? Don't know. And that's never elaborated on. But that's a problem. But it's not a problem anybody can really solve. And Lou is the only thing I really liked about this comic book is with Lou, is where they actually gave some detail about why this deal is so important for him personally. And that's, Lou is supposed to be just a nice, charming guy, but he's not a deal maker. And this is the first time he gets to make a deal. So he wants to make sure he doesn't mess it up and show Joe the Boss that he's worth his time and worth doing some good stuff. And yeah, obviously this all goes down south. But you know what? It's one of those like, okay. Every other character kind of has no motivations. They're just doing things, and I can't even tell why. And the plot is a bit thin. Like, who's killing everybody? Why are they killing everybody? I'm assuming it's Holt Histrom that's the werewolf that's going around murdering people, but like, I can't prove that. Oh, the one thing I forgot to mention earlier in the spoiler section is that there is some supernatural events, mostly just a werewolf running around killing everybody. I feel the need to call the Winchester brothers. I'm just saying. But honestly, it's just one of those like, if it is Holt Histrom and he's fully aware of what he's doing, why is he doing it? What gives him the reason to deny these deals? What gives him the reason to go and murder so many people? And then you got this like extra group of people out in like not even part of the city. They're just like a little like commune out in the countryside, and they're doing things, and I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they matter. I'm just confused as to why they're there, but they seem relevant somehow, and I haven't figured out how yet. There's a lot of stuff going on, and there's very little explanation to it. This is one of the few times where I'm like, I need more exposition, because you ain't left nothing. The writing here is just a little bit and for the most part, it's just Lou's hanging out in town and everybody around him seems to be keeping dying. I don't know why. Why is this a problem now that Lou's in town? It would have been interesting if they said there was a lot of bodies before Lou got in town and Lou started seeing it. Like, but that's not even hinted at. That's not even hinted at. That's just, it's not. Like, Lou shows up and the werewolf starts to go and munch on everybody. That's what we're doing now. And that's like, oh, I see. So yeah, the writing is very to me. That's where we're gonna leave it. The writing is just very kind of feeling. There's some good moments, but overall, I just didn't. Was not my thing. The premise is cool. I like the premise, but the delivery on that premise is there's a lot to be desired, in my opinion. So let's talk about the art. I feel as far as the art goes, the art is intriguing. It's not nearly good or bad. I actually would say it's more on the I like it more than I dislike it, but the art is just generally intriguing. So one of the things I will say about the art that I really think is that the color scheme and the emphasis on blues, especially for the night, there's a large contrast between the blues and the reds that are used, especially since this is a very bloody novel. Is that it's good. I like the fact that these two primary colors are clashing. And it adds a lot of value to the story. And especially with the emphasis on like some of the yellows for like more brighter sunshiny moments, or for light in general. Like, it's really intriguing. It's really nice. The page layouts seem to both work and not simultaneously. I find a lot of scenes like the one that's currently on my screen right now to just kind of like, oh, that wasn't what I wanted to do. Yeah. So if you look at the screen right here on my screen, to the right behind my head, you can see where like the moon and the trees, and it almost looks like it should be fully covering the screen, but at the same time it's not. It's not, because you have all these panels covering up behind it, and that's fine for like scenes like this. But then you get scenes where it's like, oh, there's appears to be stuff happening behind the panels, and it seems like the panels are detracting rather than helping, and that happens quite a bit. But it doesn't. But ironically, like all the stuff that's happening on the panels feels to be more important, so it works, and it doesn't, which is like a really weird place to be. But you know what? Overall, it's fine. I don't know. It's just one of those things that like I like it and I don't simultaneously. And it's overall just intriguing. It's good, and it's got like the page layouts seem to be a little wonky and not wonky at the same time, which I know doesn't make complete sense, but you know, it is. But overall, I like the art. I think there's a couple moments where I feel like it detracts from itself, but overall, not too bad. It's good. I like the art. So, quick recap. The writing is clunky. The characters and the plot are pretty thin overall. A lot of development could be given here, but honestly, it's fine, I guess. The premise is cool, but it's overall just not really my cup of tea here. The art is intriguing and overall just beautiful. Overall, it's just a 2 out of 5 Dukes from a Ferret. I didn't really like it. Wouldn't really like recommend it. I mean, I know it's got some value, but I wouldn't like, it's not the thing I would probably recommend first and foremost. But it's overall, it's still pretty. I guess if you're willing to spend some time like trying to understand the plot a lot more, or maybe like looking at like Wikipedia or something, like it could be good. But for me, I wasn't feeling it. Overall, that's where I stand with Moonshine. I know there is, at the time of recording this, that there is actually 4 volumes at least. So it is still good. It's still selling well. It's still liked. I just didn't like it. I wouldn't have recommended it. But I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, and I will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.